Welcome, everybody, to Dear Self Live. This is the spiritual version of Dear Abby. If you're seeking answers to why you feel, act, and react the way you do, then you've come to the right place. Because when the student is ready, the teacher appears to appear. No matter where your answers appear to come from, your mentor, a book, your friend, an enemy, a dog, or a tree, ultimately, they come from within. They come from yourself. So ask away, because the truth is available here and now. Welcome to the catalytic conversation that can unveil it. My name is Cindy Teevens. I'm author of The Happiness Lie, What Generations Have Been Told That Makes You Unhappy, and Alchemy, How to Feel Good No Matter What. And today's topic is the 5 biggest mistakes that people make trying to be happy. I was an expert in these. I'm still an expert in these from a different perspective now because I no longer make these errors. So the first error is looking for a reason why you are unhappy. You probably also aren't aware that you also look for a reason that you are happy because you can't do one without the other. So the whys are where the suffering lies. That's what I say. The whys are where the suffering lies. So when you look for a reason why, what you're really getting is what you don't want. Suffering, pain. Like legs on a chair, the whys are actually the reasons to suffer. Chairs only need 4 legs for support, but you can add an endless number of whys to support suffering. That is the power of imagination, of thought. We can have endless reasons to suffer. And why is it that we look for the why? It's through confusion and ignorance. We look for the why because we believe that something, person, or event outside of us caused our pain. And this is rampant in society. Just listen to any conversation. And if you listen close enough, you'll hear it. She did this to me. He did that to me. It stresses me. After the first life-altering experience I had, these jumped out at me like red flags. I can't accept them because they're not true, number one, but also because they support suffering. And I can no longer support suffering in any way, shape, or form. The second reason is that people blame the outside for the why. They blame something, person, or event. And even if you were certain that you discovered a single why, it's usually something outside of you, and anything from outside of you is influenced by countless things, none of which are in your control. And even if you were able to effect some change, it will not be permanent because the outside always changes. Completely on its own, with complete disregard to you. So worse, if you did appear to have some influence, then the belief that you can and must change the outside merely strengthens, further binding you to an additional attachment and suffering. Confusion about the cause and the source of our pain and our joy is why we do what we do. One of the other things that we do, one of the other mistakes, number 3, is putting your attention on what you do not want. I love the example of holding a flashlight on a spot, on a damaged wall, and saying, you see that spot? I don't want to see that spot. You see that spot? I don't want to see that spot. But as long as your attention is on it, even if you're saying you don't want to see it, that is what you are seeing, knowing, or feeling, or experiencing. It's kind of a little insane to be doing this and to not realize why we're hurting. And the number 4 reason or mistake people make that cause suffering is they state what they don't want. Or they state what they do want in the negative. This is actually what people think is going to happen. If I say what I don't want, gee, I might get what I do want. So if you say to the children, don't eat the cookies in the jar. Gee, Ma, I hadn't thought of that. Thank you. So state what you do want. You don't say don't slam the door. How does someone don't slam the door? Close the door gently. Close the door gently. And whether you're saying this to people outside of yourself, so you're saying it to yourself, doesn't matter. Don't say it to yourself negatively. Don't say it to others negatively. You might be more apt to get what you do want if you state what you do want. It would be kind of like going to a restaurant and the waiter comes over and you say, well, gee now, I don't want salmon and I don't want pork. I don't want couscous. We could be here all day and you could go hungry or starve. It's a lot quicker, a lot more direct if you say what you do want. And the 5th mistake people make is believing that you need a thing, a person, or an event, and that could be a thought in your mind in order to be happy. So you need something outside of you in order to be happy, as if there's something wrong with your natural state. There's nothing wrong with your natural state. What's not noticed is what we primarily live in is not our natural state. It's a dream in the mind. It's a stream of thinking, a storyline, not reality. Reality itself never hurts. Never hurts. And so when you become aware of this, that what you're believing to be true is not what actually is, you can free yourself from 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 or 80 years of baggage in an instant. And that much pain in an instant. Number 5 is believing that we need something or someone. And so because we believe we need something or someone, we withhold. We tell ourselves we can't be happy because I don't have that thing, person, or event. So you disrupt your natural state. So you get agitated. And this confusion is further fed if you do get what you think you need. Because what happens then is you stop agitating yourself. But you miss that that's what you've done. And so you feel better. And so you really do think that that thing, person, or event made you happy. It's not true. Never was true. Never will be true. You survived quite well. You got to whatever age you are right now without the thing, the person, or the event. And it's a case of mistaken source when you have the thought that things, person, or events brought you joy. Is there 1 ounce of joy in 2 tons of steel in a new car? No. And if you do feel joy, where is it felt? Is it felt here or over there in the new car? Of course it's felt here. So its source must be here. The cause must be here. Every feeling, good or bad, comes from within you. I encourage everyone to re-experience life anew from your actual experience of what is actually happening, not a thought about what is happening. This reveals truth and removes false knowledge and attachment, opening the door to recognize your inherent freedom and joy. How do you do this? Well, number one is to really pay attention. Really watch what it is that's going on when you feel bad. What's actually going on. And what people usually do is think in their thoughts of what's going on, and well, it might be this and it might be that. No, we're talking about what is actually going on in your direct experience. What you are seeing, touching, hearing, sensing, feeling. What you're directly knowing that doesn't need mind to interpret. And when you stay with that, and it may take a little while, a couple of moments, but when you stay with that, it pulls the energy away from the painful thinking. And you get immediate relief. And the longer you stay with it, you get more relief. And what I discovered accidentally, the longer you stay with that, you start to get pleasure. Because when you feel good, good thoughts come easily and effortlessly. And when you feel bad, bad thought comes easily and effortlessly. So as you start to feel better, your thought quality will improve, and you'll feel better as a result of that. And then your thought quality will improve yet more, and you'll feel even better, and your thought quality will improve. And this is how my experience grew from pain to ecstasy, actually, for no reason. And when I say no reason, I say that in jest, because I used to think I needed a reason to feel good. Something had to happen, whatever that was. And so not only did I suffer unnecessarily, but my joy was limited. So there's two factors to this. So if we're really good at knowing what we don't want and putting our attention on it and blaming the outside and stating what we don't want and believing that you need something in order to be happy, is it any wonder the mess our society is in? Is it any wonder the drugs people are taking just for everyday life? We're not talking about people who've had any serious trauma. There are some of those. But the majority of drugs are prescribed to people to just live everyday life. What's going on? We have lost touch with reality. We've been living a painful story in our head. And we believe it's true. And everybody else believes it's true. You know, when someone presents a mind read to me about somebody else, and I challenge it, they quite often will say, yeah, but everybody else in the office, you know, sees her the same way. Do I care? Should you care? No. Just because everybody is living the same nightmare, just because everybody is confused, doesn't mean it's right. Everybody also used to think that the earth was flat. Did it make it true? Did it make it right? No. No matter how many people believed it, it still wasn't true. It still wasn't right. And that's the way it is with pain and joy. The majority of people out there speak, walk, and talk and act and embody as if these things have any effect on you whatsoever. I was quite gifted in the moment of pain. And it's not because I was gifted with pain, but in the moment of pain that I did something different. Different from what everybody else is doing. So that I discovered the truths and the lie. I call it the happiness lie. I accidentally discovered, right in the midst of suffering, that we have this capacity to shift our attention in an instant from the most excruciating pain onto the happiness, joy, love, peace that we want. And it's not really discovery because every child knows this. And your child knew this. We've all seen children flip their attention and go from crying to laughing and giggling in an instant. This is a capacity you were born with. If you're not experiencing your natural state of love, joy, peace, bliss, it's because something is interfering with it. And this something is not other than you. It doesn't matter what thoughts arise. They're harmless if you don't give them your interest, your power of attention. They will go. If you've been feeding mind for a long time, it may take a little while. But they will go. And it doesn't matter what's happened to you in life. Because after I discovered this, I had friends suddenly die of cancer. I had financial problems, extreme ones. I had family members get deathly sick. But through it all, there was this baseline that I never dipped below into suffering again. And what is suffering? Suffering is putting your attention on a thought about what is. And your thoughts about what is are always worse than what is. And what happens, because the nature of mind and thought is completely unlimited, that you start off with a neutral thought. And then it can get twisted into something a little bit more painful. And why do we do that? Because we're protecting ourselves. We're on the lookout for what could hurt us because we believe in the happiness lie. So we can't have that person say something, or we can't have this event happen, or we can't have this thought arise. Because if we do, we think we have to hurt, and so we hurt. But because you are on the defensive and you are looking for these, guess what you see? Mind will see them everywhere. And then you'll start to feel bad. And when that happens, more bad feelings that match that bad feeling will arise. And then fear and pain and this defensive need again will arise and look for something worse because we think that's going to protect us. And downward you spiral. I call this the deterioration of thought feelings. That's suffering. So suffering is going over and over and over something you don't want that hurts. But it's never got anything to do with reality. It's all in the head. I'm writing an article right now on the difference between grief and suffering. And grief comes as a shock. There's a great loss of some sort. And it's fairly short-lived if it's let alone. But if it becomes this stream of stressful thinking Suffering can go on for a lifetime, even though the shock is long over. How long someone will suffer depends on how long they do this. But how long someone experiences grief is only dependent on how long they think they have to. It can move through very quickly if allowed. Today I posted on Dear Self that you don't need to manifest love, joy, or peace. A lot of people think these need to be manifested. What does that mean? What it means is to manifest in the outer world, I need to have something in order to feel good. So I better go manifest it. A person, a thing, a job, a peaceful mind even. But what you want is right here, right now. It's only when you disturb it that you disturb it. And if you say, I don't have love, you're disturbing it. If you say, I don't have peace of mind, you're disturbing it. You know, it's much like if I were to stir this glass of sand and say, gee, I want this water to clear. It's so dirty. Why is it not clearing? Got any ideas, anybody? Isn't it awful that things are like this? So painful, yucky, foggy. What do I have to do? Maybe I have to stop. Yeah. As one of my guests just typed, stop. Stop. Stop and let the dust clear. Let your natural state return. Then access love, access joy, access peace. You knew how to do this since you were a child. You haven't been doing it for a while, perhaps, so you may be out of practice, but you can't lose it. All you need to do is the opposite of the mistakes you've been making. Stop looking for reasons why you hurt. Stop blaming the outside for the why. Stop putting your attention on what you don't want. Stop stating what you don't want. And stop believing that you need something or someone else. You need nothing. You need nothing to be happy. You need something to be unhappy, like an unwanted person or an unwanted experience or an unwanted thought. Stop wanting. That's actually the 6th biggest mistake. I have 7 here, 2 bonus ones. Stop wanting. It's the wanting that hurts. Not the having or the not having, but the wanting, the resistance to what is. That's what hurts. And the 7th mistake people make is they believe thought feelings. Just because you have a thought doesn't mean it's true. Just because you have a thought feeling that hurts, I call them thought feelings because they arise together, doesn't mean it's true, doesn't mean it's real. In fact, I say, if it hurts, don't accept it, suspect it. It's hurting because that's your inner guidance telling you, don't go there. It's like if you went and you touched a stove that was hot and it hurt. Would you go back? Would you go back for more? It's insane to feel the pain and keep doing what you're doing and say, I want to feel better. And it's futile. It's absolutely futile. So stop. Stop all of these things, for starters. Just with stopping, you'll get relief. Learn to meditate. Meditate is stopping. Meditating is touching, tasting, feeling, hearing, your direct experience. And it will show you the difference between your reality and your thoughts about reality. This is a priceless learning. Then learn to use the 5 powers you were born with that I use when I teach alchemy. The first power is the power of awareness. What a gift. You can't do anything for it. You can't stop it. You can't turn it on. You can't turn it off. It's effortless. You can notice it just by noticing the hearing of what you're hearing. How effortless is it to hear? Feel, touch, taste. It's your awareness that makes this possible. And it's always there for you to use. And then your power of attention, which I go into more depth on an upcoming program, an introductory 4-week program on alchemy and all the powers and how to use them. And then there's your power of interest. What are you most interested in? It's like holding the flashlight up on the wall. If you're most interested in the hole in the wall, it's not by what you say you're interested in, it's by what you do. You can say, I'm not interested in that hole in the wall, I'm not interested in that hole in the wall. Meanwhile, your whole attention, your whole interest is focused on the hole in the wall. So your power of interest, we can also demonstrate simply by taking one hand and touching it with the other hand and feeling the skin and bones. You know what skin and bones feels like, right? Okay. Now feel it with love. What just happened? Notice something different? Some feeling somewhere, change, perception, sensation? When you're feeling with the interest of knowing skin and bones, you're going to know skin and bones. And when you feel with the interest of knowing love, you will know love. And this goes for everything that you do. If you are most interested in love in what you do, that's what you will experience. That's what you'll know. This flip of attention is instantaneous. And it may be confusing to the mind at first. The mind says, oh, that can't be. There's nobody here to love. What's going on? I don't know. Because prior belief has love attached to things, people, or events. And geez, this is just a hand, so really. Ignore that. Ignore all of that. And be most interested, single-mindedly, on love. No matter what thoughts come up, well, gee, I don't know what love is like. Gee, I don't know. Whatever thoughts come up, ignore. Be single-mindedly, completely, absolutely focused on love. Be uncompromising and adamant. And even if you notice a little bit of love, enjoy it. It wasn't there a moment ago. And watch what happens when you enjoy it. When you accept it, when you confirm, yes, oh yes, this is a sensation of love. Stay with it. Value it. The things we value, we stay with. The things we don't, we throw out, right? You throw out the garbage. You don't fill a bag full of garbage and then keep it hanging around. You are completely not interested in it. Everything you want is here and now. And even if the mind has been depressed physically, over time, with and through negative thoughts and attention on negative thoughts, if you accept nothing else and you persist, you will boost the brain. It's been scientifically proven that self-induced mood changes raise the serotonin levels of the brain, and serotonin is the happiness chemical of the brain. So use it. Your brain is a natural pharmacy. You have a pharmacy with you wherever you go, whatever you're doing. You are either depressing your serotonin levels or you're raising them. And as long as you keep moving in the right direction, you'll keep raising them. And as I found, the love, joy, bliss grew and grew and grew into ecstasy, is the only word I can come up with for that. Joy beyond belief. Mind will, try to come in and say, oh, you can't feel that good, nothing has happened, or it's only a tree, it's only a rock, it's only a child, it's only whatever. Ignore that. Be more interested in the feeling. And it will grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. I encourage everyone to experiment with this. This is what I did for months. And it grew and grew and grew. And every time mind thought, gee, it can't grow any bigger, it grew again. So I can confirm that you are capable of so much more joy and love and peace than you have lived or even imagined. And in fact, it's been your imagination that has kept you from it. You have imagined you have to feel bad. And so you do. But the power is within you. You're the authority. The buck stops here. It doesn't matter what's going on, good or bad. You're the one who's saying it's going on, good or bad. Nobody else is doing it for you. Nobody else can do it for you. When you start to realize that you're the last voice here on your experience, isn't that an eye-opener? Isn't that empowering? At first, mind might say things like, oh my God, all those years of suffering, all those relationships I screwed up, all those blah, blah, whatever. Yeah, okay, move on. It's gone, it's past. Here and now. What are you most interested in here and now? The here and now, or a sad story about the past? Is there anything other than here and now? Anyway, there's nothing else. And if it does seem to be, that's a thought that's happening here and now. How do you want to use your here and now? I'm going to open up the lines. If anybody have any questions, any of our guests, we'll let them come forward and speak first. Feel free to unmute yourself or open your video or close your video as you prefer. And I will also look to the chat box on the website Alchemy Love Joy to see if anybody there has any questions or not. Okay, we're not getting any questions. Quiet group, quiet group. Does anybody believe in the happiness lie that things, people, or events make them happy or unhappy? You may say you don't. If put to the point and put to the question, most people will say, no, I don't believe that. Nobody can make me happy. I'm the only one. And then they go about their lives and something happens. And they're unhappy. And they blame somebody. And they're completely unconscious that this is what they're doing, that this is what's going on. So pain is your friend, actually. Pain can be used to wake you up out of the unconsciousness when you notice it. It's that little red flag that says, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Look at what you're putting your attention on. Look at what you're interested in. Just stop. The power of just stopping. And if you're in a relationship with someone that's challenged, I'll give you a little tip. Say they say something and you feel a trigger and you want to say something back. Hold your tongue. I mean, literally, hold your tongue. Put your tongue on the roof of your mouth, in front of your teeth. Just hold it there. Just hold it there. You can't talk like that. Just doing that consciously, you will not say anything. And what will happen is, whatever they said is going to be left with them. You won't be picking it up. You won't be having a conversation in your head about it as much. You won't feed whatever could come in the next moment. And just watch what happens. When you do nothing, it is most amazing to just see how things sort of automatically take care of themselves. Without you at all. It's a very powerful little experiment. Love you to go and do that and report back to me another week about that. So I have a question here on the board. Someone can't unmute, so I'm going to help you unmute. If I can. Can you unmute now? Try your controls now. Still can't unmute. Very strange. Okay. Question then. Can you talk about love and how it feels different from how it used to? Oh, interesting. Interesting question. I think you'll be able to unmute now. Hey, welcome back.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute the microphone for me.
I figured out what was going on.
Okay, every time somebody clicked or my
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay
camera
too.
came on. Anyway,
I'll explain that later.
when you talked about feeling your hand,
Yes.
feeling skin and bones, and then you said to feel it with love.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've done this before with you, and yet every time, as soon as you say, feel your hand with love, it changes how you feel your hand. Now, just that word love. So, if I choose love every time instead of getting angry, how does that look?
Yeah, the problem is that if you've gotten angry, there's a reason you've gotten angry. There's an attachment to something that you believe should or should not have happened. And as long as that attachment is there, and that's what your attention is on, obviously, this problem, and you've gotten this feeling in the body mind, this bad feeling of anger, it's not going to be genuine. You're going to be trying to tell yourself to feel love. You're going to try to force love on top of anger, and it's not going to be genuine, okay? Because the attachment is still there. The attachment needs to be dealt with. This is what we do with alchemy.
Is the attachment to the anger itself?
No, no. It's always something else. We're angry because we feel something's been violated, right? Something shouldn't have happened. And you need to discover what that is. And you do discover what that is through the practice called alchemy. And once you discover what that is, then you can shift state. Then you can access love if love need be accessed. It may not be love in that moment. Maybe you're angry because you felt rejected. So what the cure would be acceptance for that moment.
But that is the love in that moment, the acceptance.
Yes, you could call acceptance. You could call
word you put on it.
You could call acceptance love. There is a love that isn't specific, but that comes later on as you continue with the practice, and it can flatten out any. I mean, if you go around in the state of love, not because of something, okay,
Mm-hmm.
just because you've fallen in love with love itself, which is what happened to me.
Can you talk a bit about that, Cindy?
Yeah. So if you go around in this state of love, then attachments aren't going to arise. They can't. Okay. Or if they do, they're weakened, or they're short-lived, or that you just don't care about them because what you're caring about is this love. All right. So falling in love with love itself is you fall in love with the experience of love, the feeling, the sensations, and they're always within. They're never outside anywhere once you realize that. When you fall in love with that and you stay with that, it grows. Because now it's unlimited because it's not attached to anything, right? Nothing is causing it, and nothing can limit it. And when you nurture that within, things are taken care of on the outside before they arise.
I was going to say that it will be interesting then. I don't even know if it will be. If I will be in that same situation with the anger.
You've made a wonderful shift recently, and when
Yeah,
this happens, you can't even sometimes you can't even you start to talk about the past and it doesn't make any sense, does it?
no,
Yeah. What's the point, right?
right.
For the listeners watching, you can attain a point where it becomes hard to speak. This is what happened to me when I stopped doing what I used to do that caused my pain. Um, I would start to talk about something to explain something and realize that's total hogwash. And I would stop mid-sentence and just drop it. And the old habit of needing to explain or understand or think about the past is just falling away. It's just shedding. And so the habit is like a fan that's been turning and you've pulled the plug. Uh, it doesn't stop immediately. It has some energy and it keeps spinning for a little while, but gradually it slows down until it stops. And so that's what you're experiencing right now.
Mm.
And so old memories, habits, tendencies of mind, may still keep coming up, but as long as you keep checking who you are versus the phenomena arising in your experience, so you versus thought, right? You versus feeling, then you will continue to allow that to slow down and eventually peter out.
That really is the key.
Yes, being vigilant, watching, continuing with this inquiry. If a bad state arises, the inquiry has not been done. And mind and identification with mind can arise and exert again, momentarily. But again, you come back to your senses. And you remember, oh yeah, I don't like this. Mm-hmm. Not interested really in this. And you come back down to your natural self again. So just keep persisting, keep watching, keep inquiring, keep, what I'm talking about when I say inquire is that you are checking what is actually going on in your direct experience versus a thought about it, and who you are versus the I in the painful thought about it, and knowing the difference and staying with what's real. And eventually you stay more and more with what's real and less in the stream of thinking. And this baseline kicks in. What I call a baseline, I guess I could say, is this natural, automatic inquiry where it's effortless. It's not to say stuff doesn't arise or start to arise, but there's this automatic inquiry that's there to take care of it before it ever goes anywhere. When you asked me the question, here's an example of a mind read. When you typed the question in and you couldn't speak it because you didn't have audio, the typing says, can you talk about love and how it feels different from how it used to feel? So, my mind read on that is, I guess, how object love used to feel versus love now, which I've never actually looked at until this question arose. And that's got some value to share too, I think, is the love that I call object, or it could be person love, so a love for a thing, a person, or an event. There always seemed to be a bit of tension involved because there's the tension, the fear of losing it. So it wasn't complete and absolute and free. And it was limited because whatever object it was attached to, we have what I call the hierarchy of happiness, which is certain things we feel we can have a certain amount of happiness with, like maybe an ice cream cone. But then isn't that different from if you get a new car? You can have way more joy with a new car than an ice cream cone, right? I used to believe this. I cringe now because, whoa, I remember doing that. And I know now how limited that was. And then we can get even more happiness when we have a partner, right? Or a new house or $1 million. All those years, I'm going to say it now, all those years I limited my love and my joy based on this happiness hierarchy. All those years I wasted, so to speak, that I could have been living in unlimited love, joy, peace, had I known better. Had I known better. And I say that not because there's any regret there whatsoever. This is excitement, passion for the here and now and all the years to come. And yeah. This experience of love is full body, is full being. Body, mind, you feel it everywhere. It's almost like you're a love generator. And you can generate love anytime, anywhere, and constantly, practically. It's very tangible. It's very actual. It has nothing to do with thought. In fact, thought gets in the way of it. If your attention is going on to a limiting thought or a bad feeling thought. And it actually has been tested, proven scientifically. You can get a machine called a biofeedback machine, which I've used with clients who have been out of touch with feeling to such a degree that they no longer actually really feel, or they try to feel with their head. And a thought does not feel. And so a reader once gave me one of these units, and I was excited to use it. But the power needed to be charged, so I went home and plugged it in, and then I engaged in what I call feel-good fests for about 15 or 20 minutes, which is just sitting down, sensing into the body, and feeling for what you want, whatever it is in that moment. It could be peace, love, joy. Love is the ultimate to me. It encompasses everything. And so does joy. At some point, it's really hard to tell the difference between love and joy. Everything kind of blurs. Anyway, I was having one of these feel-good fests and remembered the unit and went and clipped it onto my ear, which is where you get a pulse reading. And the unit shows red when you're stressed, and blue when you're sort of average, and then green when your heart is in coherence, when it's in a healing pattern, which is really good for the body and the mind. And I was told that it's really hard to get it out of the red, but as soon as I clipped it on, bang, it went into green. And it was, outside confirmation, not that I needed any, because I knew there was a physiological response when you feel love, joy, and bliss. There had to be. But it was really nice to have this confirmation. And anybody who's having challenges, difficulties, knowing whether or not they're feeling good, I highly recommend that you get your hands on one of these units, because it can help show you so that you can align the mind with the body, so that when the body is feeling good, the mind can recognize it and go, oh yeah, this feels good, as opposed to just the habitual thought of no, I don't feel good, and anything that was there with the body will get negated. Because the body mind are not separate. They work together. One can drag the other one down or up. So the proper use of the body mind that you were born with, of the bundle of joy that you're born with, is this way. And you've always had this guidance system to guide you. You maybe didn't know it, or it got confused, Your direct experience got confused with a thought about experience. And you had this wrong understanding, and then things went haywire. That can happen. So start using it in the right way. And to do that, first you stop. You stop using it in the wrong way. Because if you keep using it in the wrong way, sometimes and in the right way, sometimes in the wrong way, sometimes in the right way, sometimes you get the picture. Yeah. You are the authority of your experience. Nothing and nobody else. You have the last word. This is a huge power. It's also a responsibility. And it is the truth whether you know it or not. That's what's going on. That's what I mean by truth. That is what's going on. When I didn't know it, I suffered. And when I did know it, the suffering was over. So I encourage you, no matter how you're feeling, no matter what comes up to you, what thought comes to you, stop. Get in touch with your direct senses. Notice what you're attached to. A thing, a person, an event, a thought. Notice that that hurts. And the moment you truly notice that that hurts, you'll stop doing it. Nobody would do it if they knew this. Everybody wants to feel good. And don't beat yourself up if you slide back. That is, again, going in the wrong direction. Just notice moment to moment to moment to moment what's going on now, what's going on now, what's going on now. And it may seem like work in the beginning, but that's only because you haven't been doing it. Is that attention has been on autopilot and it's just flung wherever it goes, and it's been going habitually wherever it used to go. The momentum, you need to stop. Slam on the brakes, put her in reverse. Build up the momentum in the other direction. It does get easier. It does get effortless. I'll look out for any more questions, for we're about to wrap it up soon. Feel free to unmute yourself if you would like to come forward and comment or ask a question. And I'm checking the chat board. Any questions there? On the chat board, I've posted a link to the free introduction to alchemy. It's a video series, really quick videos that you could join to get more information on how it works. You can go to alchemylovejoy.com and find it there as well. Okay. There's no questions, comments, and I'll wish everybody a good week. See you next time, next Sunday. Oh, we have a question here. Hang on. Yeah, the link is posted there up at the top, very top, very first thing I did earlier today. That link is there. I think you may have actually already joined it. I'm not sure. Okay, so have a great week. See you next time, Sunday, 3 p.m. to yourself. Enjoy the joy just because you can. You don't need any other reason. Take care, everyone.